Hello, dickheads! Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Hopefully that initial announcement will get rid of all the fucking people I don't want to talk to today, which is fucking loads of people. But I do want to listen to everyone in the Honest Wargamer chat. Yeah, fucking hello, Grant, you gorgeous fella. I'm joined by Mr. Joe Krier today. Yeah? Yeah, it's a strong intro because it's a strong show, and I'm fucking fed up. Yeah, so there'll be someone in the YouTube comments like, I don't like this behaviour, and I'm like, good, you're exactly who I don't want to listen, so get lost. Like, leave. Joe Krier in the house. Hello, Joe, how are you?
Not too bad, man. How's it going?
Oh my god, gorgeous. Can't wait to talk to the Twitch chat. Look at the fucking legends in there. Warhammer Rob, Neural Shock Stubbs, Primark.
You buddies too, alright?
Yeah, Bob,
okay.
Rick and Smith.
Chill with the fire, though. It's been super warm here, in the Midwest. It's been super warm. Some chill with the fire emotes, alright? I can't read, but I can see those flames. No thanks.
There's loads of flame emotes in the chat. Are we the baddies now? Playing old Gavin. No, we're the goodies. Joe's on the show today to talk to me about all of the new AOS content. And at the end of the show, he's going to talk to me about using his Helon Lumineth Realm Lords list that he managed to get third with. He went 4-1 at the event of the weekend, right?
I did, yep.
Bug Eater GT. Bug Eater. So
yeah.
Joe's
my car ate all the bugs on the way down there. That's for sure.
Pardon me?
My car ate all of the bugs on the way down. I got back and my car was actually more bugged than car. It was good.
So I'll be doing the jokes then today, apparently.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
I just woke up, man. It was okay. He called me 2 hours early, guys, so this is rough.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, right. Should we, number one, and this is important. Are you okay? How are you? Keeping well?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm much better than I was last time we talked, so good.
Yeah, all right, good. I'm happy about that. Joe joining us from Manitoba.
Minnesota.
From there. I know, that's okay. Thanks for crushing it. Thanks for crushing it. Right, okay. So actually, I get some. Before we get into the new stuff, which I haven't talked about if you've been listening to the shows, let's kind of recap a little bit, Joe. Probably the biggest point of contention so far, it seems, from the new Age of Sigmar stuff, seems to be around unit coherency. How are you feeling about unit coherency so far? What are your thoughts on it? Like, as a rule, like it, don't like it, think it's good, think there might be some problems? Where are you at?
Not bothered. Haven't had to use it yet.
You're not bothered?
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I get your point with the 1x10s, not going away for like the skinks in the back or whatever. But with the board size shrinking, and if you if you still need like a brimstone squad to screen in the back, then the triangles on the end by 9 is probably fine, and also for like 25s, the base to base 1x1s are also pretty fun. But yeah, I'm not super bothered. Like with the board size shrinking and everything else, like it's probably gonna be fine. We'll figure it out. Like we've figured out how to go from rank and file to skirmish. We can figure out how to go to sort of rank and file. I imagine. I'm not worried.
Do you think that there is? Do you think that there might be an issue for? Like, are you hoping for there to be some War Scroll rewrites to see some 40mm models get some 2-inch range weapons sort of a situation?
Oh, absolutely, we need that. Like, I get that the Wardens from Lumineth have actual 5-inch spears on the model. That's why they have 3-inch range, but we definitely need longer range attacks from the larger base sizes if they're gonna have us locked to an inch. Like it works better in 40k because it's 2 inches. For that, I think it might be better for those big base stuff if they went from 1 inch to 2 inches, and then 1 inch for everything smaller. But I mean, they know better than me, or something.
Pete in the chat has got the best answer to this so far. If the coherency issue has taught me anything, it's that I never knew so many people were offended by lines and models. I will make more effort in the future to still arrange as many lines as possible. Pete, you and me both.
Talking to all my 40k teammates, watching me play Change Host for the last 3 years, they've been like, "What the fuck are you doing?" With just little lines of rainbow horrors all over the table. So if I'm the culprit that screwed everyone's coherency up, then fuck you, buddies. I don't know, whatever.
I enjoyed Chris Danish saying, I'm an idiot, so 10 out of 10 will lose so many models in the first 3 months to doing this by accident. What? Mini-mag tray is also rich.
He's self-aware.
Mini-mag tray is going to be so super rich. Those people that make MDF movement trays, they're rich as shit. They're like fucking... Oh! I don't know if there isn't going to be some, like, come out from Games Workshop. They do actually sell some. Well, they sold some for a bit when they sold that 40k... Apocalypse, yeah. Apocalypse, so that was...
I think I've seen one person use theirs.
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
I wonder... Eric Sorbanen says, of course, I don't fucking get that a Phoenix guy get a 2-inch range with a little tiny spear, and our boys or brutes that are double the size get a 1-inch range on their weapon. That makes sense. It's just like boxing, right?
Better than you.
It's like boxing. What's their weapon range? You know, what's the reach of their arms? You know, like, and ultimately, some people not born equal. But like, let's just kind of jump off on a positive note. Probably we'll see some like army-wide, like game-wide FAQs. We're going to see, and hopefully they're going to be just as crystal clear as the base guide that we've had done previously. That works kind of mostly. So that'll be fun. And then we'll get the weapon ranges changed, because that would be key. Or, like, an example of, like, gluttons, right? You would never take, like, a unit of 12 gluttons, even though you're, like, kind of, like, encouraged to take a unit of 12 gluttons, because obviously the impact hits and everything else. So maybe they'll just drop the points, because you were like, you're probably going to run mins of 3s, and they kind of know that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Or 4s or whatever it is. But, like, then, so they'll drop the unit size. Am I making sense?
Yep. I mean, and also, like, they started with ogres, right? And then giants later on, which the giants wouldn't be affected by this. But the ogres being, like, the count as 2 models, on objectives, they could just be, like, they don't need to do that until they have over 8, maybe. Like armies could gain rules that say they could go in a 1-by-1 line, even though they're 40s or 50 mils. Like, they've done rules like that already, so who cares?
Yeah. Okay.
They might just do that as like a faction ability too later on, and that'd be fine. I don't think anyone would care.
So you're ambivalent to the change. You're not bothered by the change, and you just think we'll work it out.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. No strong feelings either way. Nice.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to look at some of the new rules, which I've got a lot of strong feelings about. Mainly about wanting to become a swamp boggler or whatever it is I'm going to be. Mainly with the coherency.
You're going to be anything, Rob. That's probably
no one think of the kids. The memes coming out of the coherency have been phenomenal. I mean, like, I just re-echo my thoughts from Monday Night Show. Obviously, it makes deep striking incredibly viable, like way, way better. It makes monsters really good because they can grab onto the end of a unit now. It's going to make you harder to charge large blocks of whatever. It probably won't have large blocks. Units that were already bad are worse. So talking about gluttons.
Units that were already shooting are better, like, you know.
Well, no, we'll talk about that in a minute. No, I'm just talking about coherency. So kind of like those heavy cavalry and also like heavy infantry units are just worse. Not Croxigor though. 2-inch range. Not Croxigor. Now's the time to shine, boys. You don't have a skink keyword. You basically don't have any keywords. But whoop, let's go. Someone on Twitter, I don't see what the big deal is. I'll just take sides on my Craignoss, so you're acknowledging swords are fucked. Says Colonel Cabbage, yes. Hey, Sircon, can we start over? Don't worry, we haven't started. We're just recapping some stuff from previously. We haven't started with the new stuff. Hey, JP Stevens, who's excited to charge Stoneguard Screen with 20 Sentinels behind them? Me, JP Stevens, because I'm going to do it, having shot you off the board with my Swamp Bogglers earlier in the game. So, screw you. Conga lines are bad. In exclamation marks, says Blob, Fish Slapper, refuses to elaborate and is left. No, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm going in. Fuck it. I'm going in on this. I was like, oh, we'll just fucking skip it. But no, I'm going in. Right? Other than conga lines, and they're not even conga lines, FYI. They're lines of screens rather than conga lines. You're thinking of something else when you say conga lines. Other than a line of dudes, what's the net gain for this? Like, what's the positive? Like, that's what I'm asking. Joe, Twitch chat, give me one positive. That's what I'm looking for. That's what we're all fairly clear they didn't want people to stand dudes in lines. Fine. What's the just waiting for the chat?
they wanted to nerf foot ogres and chaos knights. They wanted to like get rid of foot ogres and chaos knights, maybe.
Looks better on the table is the only thing I can think of, says Gabberwocky. But does it make any difference? Does it?
Like with the table shrinking by a quarter, it really doesn't. Like, and the units that were already good are still good. The units that were bad are worse.
Yeah, units that are bad or worse generally. So no, I don't think. Maybe looks. Yeah, maybe looks. I guess it's like that guy who had like his ribs removed. Like he removed a rib, so he kind of had like a better shape. And you're like, yeah, I guess you kind of look better, but functionally, you're in a really bad spot. That's not good for you, man. Like, that doesn't work. Anyway. It
may have been for other reasons, but we can't talk about that on Twitch.
It makes precise movement more of a skill. But if you wasn't precise movement, or it makes any movement a skill. It's the fucking wizardry. Like, you're only going to move dudes on trays right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise you're in trouble. Anyway, right, let's go to the next one. The fact that I could string out a unit 40 chain rush board edge to board edge was a bit silly. I mean, it wasn't good. It was silly to Wilco. I think, like, fine that you felt like that, but I think there was a whole bunch of people who was like when I saw a line of ghosts, I was like, cool, that's what a line of ghosts would look like in real life, I guess, if I had to, like, I mean, it's like, a line of ghosts.
I've seen Lord of the Rings. It was a line of ghosts and ran over everyone. It's okay. Like, seen that movie. Everything's cool.
Thanks for Smorgan for pointing out the fact that Slangor have got 2-inch range on their weapons, so now units of 6 are very viable. Joe, you did a Slanesh review on for Goonhammer. How do you feel about that statement?
I appreciate everything else Morgan's ever said.
Okay. I didn't realise geometry was such a flashpoint. Me either. All right, just finished 10 models of my comp list. 6 to big. Hey, just screens, aka pickets, are real formation in flank and rank and file combat. Team and cash, they are 100%. That's kind of the purpose. The skirmish. The word skirmish. I imagine a skirmish game comes from the idea of a skirmish line. I used to do a screamer, which was a Filipino martial art, which was Spanish for skirmish. We weren't ever taught how to fight. Like, it wasn't like swords and shields. It was like tie ropes around your arteries so that if you bled out, like, you couldn't bleed out as easily, and then get launched like a psychopath into the enemy lines. That's how you were trained.
Man, hand-to-hand combat wars were crazy.
Yes, fucking nuts. Anyway, right, let's talk about the new stuff. Right, and by the way, I'm so hype about the new stuff, Joe. Like, beside myself, mainly because of the Swamp Bogglers is what I'm going to say. They've got me by the short and curlies. Last night I was just sat at home at midnight. I didn't finish here till like midnight. Then I got home and I was just like, I'm going to do some swampy terrain. I'm going to do some swampy bases. Like, it's going to be sweet.
You're sitting in the back just like putting mud on bases, like everything's going to be fine.
This is going to be so good. Vols and Right, thanks for resubscribing. Here Rob goes. He's going to tell us how to properly stab people again. No, I'm not. Anyway, Eric Sorbonen. Although my martial arts instructor always said there's better and best ways to stab people, but we'll talk about that another day. Eric Sorbonen. I feel like cavalry units of 5 will become very reliable for screening and skirmishing with the meta shifting. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Eric Sorbonen. I guess if you were upset by there being a line of infantry dudes in a straight line or a skirmish line, it's going to be absolutely okay to see a line of cavalry sideways moving up the board. Won't break my cohesion or immersion at all. In no way is that. That's fine though, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I dated a horse girl for like 2.5 weeks, and apparently,
because horses gallop sideways,
you can canter them. Yeah, you can canter them sideways, like show jumping. They're just all prancing. That's what they're doing. That's the thing. JP, I'm just loving
dancing on the show. It's good. Good.
Yeah, I'm just loving they've totally screwed Fiends of Slanesh. Not only can half the rules on the scroll only be used in 6s now, they can't even run them coherently. Oh, sorry, JP. Pete, all
don't
people
Fiends have 2-inch tails? Also, Fiends are bad in Slanesh. It's fine. Anyway, continue.
Well, what do you think of them having a skirmisher keyword like how they had in Fantasy and allow some units to use old currency rules? No shot dubs. I think probably we'll see stuff in War Scrolls change stuff up. Probably.
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what I said earlier, right? Like we'll probably see that in like Allegiance abilities or War Scrolls later on. They'll break the coherency rule.
Yeah. One more time, Joe. Go for it. Explain it one more time.
That once, like, we'll either see it in Allegiance abilities or War Scrolls, most likely, where some units will just not use the coherency rule normally, and they'll just be able to be 1 from 1 versus 1 from 2 and over 5. I imagine we'll see that eventually. Yeah, I don't think 40k has yet, but they have a 2-inch.
But for the inherent difference between Age of Sigmar and 40k is 40k has you if you're within an inch of you're within an inch of a model that's within half an inch, then you can strike. So you can always strike from 2 ranks.
Yeah. That, and then plus their 2-inch coherency instead of 1-inch.
Yes.
So they can actually like fit sideways together, like straight. Like knights can fit side by side instead of in a wall that canter.
Yeah.
To the side.
What about cavalry units of 4 divided into 2 pairs to those pairs to stay close together? Well, we're not discussing the groups of 3 in a group. We're not discussing it because it's silly. How do we not know that rule is in AOS? Because we know it's not in AOS. So I know there's a lot of conversation about like, well, you don't know the context, but assume that both people talking today might know the context. Just assume it, and then maybe the conversation will seem more sensible as we go.
And also, like if the context is, well, Ariel is pointed for AOS 3. Like, I just want to jump off a bridge. Like, no, it's not.
Okay. Anyway. So right, the Swamp Bogglers. Let's get into it. So there's some wizards. There's these 2 that we'll go through this first because you get an update in this. Yeah. So they go through a bunch of rubbish stuff here, but specifically, you can't get within 3 inches of the Stormcast wizard. With an endless spell. Yeah, how do you feel about that? The Knight Arcana.
That sounds really good.
You really like that?
In a game where endless spells can only move 3. Or where endless spells can move in every hero phase. That's really good because that means she just ignores Demon Fire Rift. Mm-hmm. It's fine. That's fine.
Well, but Takaloi, thanks for pointing that out. But you can still set up endless spells within 3 inches of her.
Well done. Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. Takaloi, nailed it. So you just got to get close enough and then Demon Rift right on her head.
And then don't move it.
Then never move it. It's only predatory. Warp Lightning Vortex doesn't give a shit. That's good. So that works out really nicely. But I love this model, by the way. So much.
Great.
So
the one with the mask. The mask is so good. I just want if anyone doesn't want their mask bit, just send them right to me because I'll use all of those.
Kind of looks like an old. I always thought this before. It already looks like a Harlequin kind of mask, right? Like the front.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Absolutely.
Does 0 inches count as a move? Fuck, I love a new edition. It's so good. It's so good. They've clarified that in 40k where you can no longer vibrate stand still. Some of you might be like, Rob, what did I just hear you say? Does 0 inches count as a move? But you can move and not move, if that makes sense. Therefore, we'll talk about that later. It depends on how they wrote the wording for move. Magical Potency, the Stormcaller Shaman has got an amazing spell. Oh, you can do D3 mortal wounds from the Stormcasty Lady Wizard, whatever. But the Magical Potency from the Swampcaller Shaman, Blaze of the the Summon Boggy Mist. I think this is the one that got me, Joe. Summon a Boggy Mist. Yeah,
that's all you're gonna do every game. And if you don't cast it, you'll leave.
Yeah, summon this Boggy Mist. Is a spell that's cast on 7. If successfully cast into your next hero phase, add 1 to charge rolls for any Cruel Boys Oryx units anywhere on the battlefield. Huge stonks. And subtract 1 from charge rolls from other units on the battlefield. Huge stonks.
Nuts. That's bananas. Like, table-wide spells. Sure. Sounds good. We saw it kind of, I guess, in the new Slanesh Demon, but they're terrible, so it's fine.
He got it. He knows it. Yeah, like, this is cool, right? Because it gives you army-wide. We're going to talk about the change to Chronomantic Cogs in a minute. But it gives you army-wide +1 charge. And we don't know if they've already got some other +1 to charges on the scrolls as well. So if they can... I imagine they're going to have a to emerge from the bogs sort of rule, like summon from the swamps. So they're going to pop out at the swamps, and now they've only got an 8-inch charge. And
but
then
probably not always strike first turn 3 in there because they're not elves.
We don't know yet. We'll
I
see.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, bonus points for bringing a smoke machine to tournaments with the Cruel Boys. Yeah, you got it, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, that works. So this is good. Ordering a vape pen with my Cruel Boys. Yes. Eric Sorvin +1 from Big War, +1 from Cogs if you're within 18 inches. So yeah, you could, and that's without any unit champs giving you +1. But then also the one that's really important is the -1. When we get to it, there's obviously the command abilities where you can retreat D6 inches. That's in these articles, I'm sure. And then, or it's not, one of the two, who knows. But you could, like, in the charge phase, you could run D6 inches away. And so the fact that you're effectively adding D6 +1 on their charge roll. So already you're making it so that even if they get within 3, then now they've got a roll of 4. And if you use that command ability, then that's 4 plus D6. Like, actually, you can make it so that your Swamp Bogglers, I know they're called the Cruel Boys, but like, just allow this poor
Swamp Bogglers is better.
Who's excited about the models to call them the Swamp Bogglers because it's making me smile. And I want something to make me smile, so this is it. But imagine this. It might be impossible to charge at least 1 unit of Swamp Bogglers, basically.
Good, cool, nice. Nailed it.
Really good.
They're so sneaky in their swamp boggling.
Yeah,
they're so
exactly.
sneaky in their swamp boggling. Yeah, yep, nailed it.
Poisons and elixirs. So the fucking Stormcast lady's got nothing.
You skipped the best sidekick, your favorite sidekick.
No, the Potgrot, and I'm not skipping him. I'm just saying, no, he's amazing. He's got, in your hero phase, if this unit is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, instead of attempting to cast any spells with this unit, you can say that you're brewing either a poison or an elixir. If you do so, you pick one for any Cruel Boys Uruk unit wholly within 12 inches of that unit, and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That is at least one model within 3 inches of this unit to be given that poison or elixir. Really clear wording, by the way. Love it. Like, it's very, like, it's wordy, but it's specific and it's really clear, even though it's wordy. So it's great. A unit that has been given a poison or elixir cannot be given another poison or elixir in the same hero phase. Whew. Now you've done that. Now you get to the good stuff. If that unit is given a poison until your next hero phase, when you use the Venom Encrusted weapons, that's right, stinky stabbers. Yeah, the allegiance ability for that unit or mortal wounds are caused on an unmodified roll of a 5+ instead of a 6. If that unit is given an elixir, I'd want a save roll for that unit until your next hero phase. So, +1 to save, -1 to be charged, and you're doing mortal wounds on 5s to hit. And it's not just mortal wounds on 5s to hit. Huh?
+1 to save or the 5 immortals, but yes. You get one or the other.
No. If that unit is given an elixir... Wait. When you use the Venom Encrusted Legion abilities for that unit, mortal wounds are caused on a... No, if that unit is given an elixir, it's not or... It's both.
No, because one's the Venom, and one the elixir is add 1 to save rolls. Oh,
you give him a poison or an elixir. Of course. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Boo. Okay. Oh, well, that's fine. That's fine. I'm still just going to poison my shit all the time. No one's going for defense. Yeah. You only go for offense. Also, so the command ability that they're referencing, Venom Encrusted Weapons, is if you roll a 6, you do a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage profile of that weapon, which is so much better than 6s to... It is really clear, Nathan. I just didn't read it well. Fuck you. Yeah? All right. Yeah. It's my reading, not their writing. They've done great writing. Well done, Games Workshop. Claps, claps, claps. Yeah? Claps for them. Yeah? They could have maybe done it in a new paragraph. Maybe.
The clip.
But only for the dumb guys.
I don't think we can play the clip. Knack readiness.
Yeah, damage. Yeah, so let's talk about the Cruel Boys and their command ability, and their allegiance ability, right? Venom Encrusted Weapons. So, Joe, how do you feel about that? Instead of it just being 6s to hit, cause mortal wound, yeah, or exploding 6s. Lol, jokes. They're terrible. Like it's the damage profile. So if you've got like a big stonky monster who's got like damage 4, he rolls a 6. It's just a flat 6 more. It's incredible, I think. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's the same rule that keepers have but on the to wound roll versus on the to hit roll. So on the to hit roll, it's insane because keepers were trying to roll 6s to wound all the time, and it was still good. Like you'd still with their 5 damage claws, you could still do like 5 to 15 mortals in a turn, and that's still pretty good. And this is like, yeah, well now everybody gets it, and anything that's over 1 damage, you're just like, Yeah, I'll take that all day. I don't care.
I'll take it all day anyway, because it means the arm. Like we obviously haven't seen the profiles for the units, but we know that we're moving into like an armor heavy meta when we talk about like +1 saves and also 2+ armor save units anyway. So the fact that
there's a reason why that Stormcast hero died in the cinematic, because these boys poison weapons all day.
Oh baby! Someone pointed out in the chat that they love the fact that you poison them before they even go through your armor. Just an immediate poison.
Yeah, like, they're just better at poisoning. Nailed it.
They're just so good.
Clan Esh and Skaven are really sad right now.
Is it shooting mortals as well? We'll go to that command ability. No, to the allegiance ability a bit. I think it's just anything, right? It just says any. Like their allegiance ability is any 6s to hit is a mortal wound on that weapon profile.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's so good. Yeah. Thanks, Dasmo Wargamer. Appreciate you. It's great +1 save on things like Gore Grunters is fantastic. Just playing on Gavin, it is, but not being able to take 6 Gore Grunters is sad. Sad face. So I love this.
Is it sad?
What?
Is it sad? I don't know.
Why? Do you not like Gore Grunters, you fucking animal? What's wrong with that? Why do you like Gore Grunters?
They're fine. I just never saw 6 do too much, I guess. I don't know.
They do enough.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So then it talks about them in combat. Predatory and spells cannot pass across this unit or finish a move within 3 inches of a unit, but a setup is obviously different to finishing a move under current rules, and I'm sure in future rules. Therefore, you could set up an spell next to the Stormcast character, which is good, right?
Well, Bunny Vortex still the best on the spell.
Yeah, wasn't there something
else? Maybe the Demon Fire Rip.
Was there something else in this article or not? No, it's just Cruel Boys, the Mortal Wounds. Okay, let's go to the next article. Oh, not that. Right, okay. So set that joke up earlier and I loved it. It's worth it. Right, let's talk about the command abilities. Number 1, the Swamp Boggler seems like the clear winner. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, except for the mask. Everything else is the Swamp Boggler, for sure.
Right, so who are the new auto war clans? Let's skip this. Have they fixed it so when they were asking Kieran all the questions, but then they accidentally finally got an answer off Chuck? Yeah, they've changed it. Well done, because they accidentally in the article when they first wrote it, they were like, "This is Kieran," and then later on they were like, "So Chuck, what do you think of this?" Like, oh, copy and paste, boys. Come on, come on. Right, okay. So we're talking about the command abilities, right? Oh no, first we'll start with the Cruel Boys allegiance ability, Venom encrusted weapons. Weapons used by Cruel Boys are smeared with toxins extracted from poison sludge, venomous swamp creatures, and the Uruk's own spit, so the wounds they inflict become infected. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by Cruel Boys Uruk model is a 6, so it's a Cruel Boys Uruk model, so probably not the little grot fellas, the hobgoblins.
Hobgrots?
Yeah, hobgrots. Probably not them. The attack causes a number of mortal wounds to the target equal to the damage, the weapon's damage characteristic, and the attack sequence ends. It's not an addition. Do not make a wound or save roll. This ability has no effect on attacks made by a mount. Okay. How do you feel about this? Like, I love this. I think this is amazing.
I mean, we just came off of COVID, and we're already getting spit on weapons again. I guess that's fine.
Yeah. Hey, real polygeek.
Adrian, it's been an Age of Mortal Wounds, man. Tzeentch players have been playing the wrong Legion. That's all.
Okay. Well, listen. This is going to be a lot of Mortal Wounds potentially coming out of the army. We obviously haven't seen the attack profiles. Yeah, like, and the fact it's not on mounts. So, like, a lot of the big damage stuff, like damage 4, is normally on a mount. So probably the maximum we're going to see is like a damage 2 weapon. And I'm not sure if a ballista is going to count for Venom encrusted weapons, but I'm hoping that has like some pretty high damage. So like, you know, a couple of shots and just look at aiming to spike that 6 for a mortal. It just means like it's exciting every time you roll a dice for the Cruel Boys. Like game balance wise, I'm really not sure. But I don't care because I'm going to collect them. So, fuck it. Let's get in the bin. Like,
this is also the only one. This is also going to be, like, my only destruction army, too. Like, it was going to be anyway. And then they're like, all right, 6 is to hit all of the mortals you want. It's like, oh, okay. Nailed it, guys. Well done.
It's good, right? Like, it's very strong as an allegiance ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if the war scrolls aren't great, then you just go, but they get mortals on everything. I guess they can be not great and still do mortals on everything, so that's cool.
It's also really, really nice on minuses to hit and anything with reroll saves. Like, it's really nice. Because obviously, minuses to hit doesn't matter, you're still fishing for the sixes. If you've got any rerolls knocking around, or what you're really looking for in this book when it comes out is you want reroll saves. Without reroll to hit, sorry. As soon as you can find reroll to hit, you're just going to be like, lol jokes, let's just fish for sixes. It's going to be so good.
Yep, and then the +1 to the then you want on the 5-up too, like reroll hits, and then the 5-up elixir or poison or whatever.
Yeah, Joe, let's talk about a couple of things because Kilpanic's brought up something really useful in the chat. This Joe guy looks mean. I bet he drives a forklift. Probably does. Is just for immersion. You know, if I'm encrusting my weapons with Venom, yeah, will that kill a tree? Like a tree lord ancient. Like, will they be? Could you poison a tree?
I mean, I'm no I know a tree expert, but I'm not a tree expert. I imagine you can poison a tree.
What about a steam tank? Can you poison a steam tank?
No, but if they're stabbing you with sludge, maybe the sludge is acidic and it melts the tank. You know what I'm saying?
What about a ghost?
I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe they are the true king. They all have the sword from Return of the King. Right? They all have the same sword.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, So they're actually the leaders of the ghost people of Nighthaunt.
This all makes these ghosts aren't real. Thanks for Real Polygeek.
Piss off, ghosts. That's just what they yell every time they stab them.
Sumpworks in the chat says, I am a tree expert for a living. Thanks, Sumpworks. And you can poison trees. Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, not nice for the trees. Okay. I think we really need corrosive. Maybe it's corrosive.
Is Sumpworks' name Matt? I just want to know. If not, it's okay. I'm just curious. If I know you.
Trees. Right. Hey, no, Matthew, big love. Right, so I love the allegiance ability is what I'm going to talk about. Now we're going to get into the key points. Thanks, Kieran, for doing the article. So these are generic command abilities that fit everything. And oh goodness me.
Rally, baby.
Oh goodness me. I might have to sit down. So excited. So first one, a rally. A shouted command. Injured warriors, not slain warriors, Benjamin. Like injured warriors stagger back to their feet and prepare to fight once more. You can use the command ability at the start of the hero phase. The unit that receives the command ability must be more than 3 inches from all enemy units, so you can't do it while they're in combat. Roll 1 dice for each slain model from that unit. For a 6, you can return 1 slain model to that unit. How do you feel about the rally mechanic, Joe?
So imagine,
start
with 20 pinks, okay,
and then you
kill 80 wounds worth of models brings down to 20. That's not 20. What is it? Brings down to it's 20 brims or so.
Mm-hmm.
And the Zinj player goes, hold on a second. Rally. They roll 80 dice looking for 6 hits. They roll 20 for the pinks. They're going to roll 40 for the blues and 20 for the brims. And every 6 that they roll, they all come back.
Yeah, and thank you, Chucklebot, for pointing out you can use this command ability at the start of the hero phase, not at the start of your hero phase. Yeah? The unit receives the command must be... Yeah. 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 For 1 command point. Now, it's in a 6. So we've got to roll a 6, don't forget.
But roll 80 dice, Rob.
I think that they're just going to... What I'm saying is they're probably going to change the pink Horror War Scroll. Because they can't... That doesn't work. So yeah, they'll change that. And then, so as soon as they change that, because that's a unique fringe case, yeah, right? And if they don't, I own 40, so I'm not sad, right? Like I
own 400, so it's okay.
Well, you own 400 pinks.
Yeah, 100 pinks. Yeah.
100 pinks. Fuck that. How would that work for pinks? So we've discussed that already. We got Superman Nagash could do something similar. So I think what's
Bringing
interesting
three
about
models back.
Yeah, what I think is interesting about this is it's not actually that powerful unless you talk about like fringe case pinks. Like it's a CP, and some of the other command abilities are far more impactful in the game. What's nice is it's there as like a clutch ability, like your unit of 6 flamers, and like they get whittled down to 1, and then you pop this maybe to try and get a couple back for that extra bit of shooting, just to do that extra bit of damage. On hordes, obviously.
Yeah, or if your Venari units, if you've lost Shining Company, you can use it to put your models back within base to base of 3 or more, or of 2 others, so then you can get Shining Company again.
Yeah.
With Rally.
Yeah, but it works really well on elite units, like Eric Sorber was talking about, with something like Phoenix Guard, where each Phoenix Guard is obviously very valuable. Then if you throw in an Emerald Life Swarm, for example, which is heal D6, that's actually quite nice. Again, still costing you those very valuable command points, which are so useful because there's so many amazing command abilities. So
if only you got 2 or 3 for going second.
Well, you get 2 for going second, and you get 1 for your general. So you could easily be in the second turn, or even the second turn, with like 3 command points just straight off the bat. And
then also if like the Lumineth terrain piece didn't give you a free one every turn, that'd be cool. Also.
Oh yeah,
that's really good.
Lumineth have got some big stonks, but it's actually got some more stonks. Obviously, like with the Rodimus rule, that's more CP. Croak generating CP. Like some armies, Gits can generate
Supreme
so much.
Sybarites.
Yeah,
Gits for sure. Yeah,
Gits can summon loads of CP. So like some armies are actually just gone up in value because they've just got access to loads of stuff that they couldn't use. My Chaos Dwarves had no command points that were useful at all. Yeah, I was just sat on CP for no reason, and now I've got
Weren't
so
you
many.
legended?
Imagine rallying 11 Kadai with 1 left. Come on. But the problem is it's still a 6. So really, you should only get 1 model back for every 6 dice you roll. So I think what's interesting about this is trying to spike it. I already saw Plastic Crack. Shout out to him and his blog if you guys have not read it.
Man-Crusher Gargants.
Yeah, a unit of 3 Man-Crusher Gargants. Yeah, 2 Man-Crushers are gone. You just try and roll 2 6s to bring back 2 Man-Crushers. Right?
The what's going to be really fun is the 6-man blocks of Garangard Knights.
You mean when they're in Knights of the Empty Throne?
Yeah. Huh. Yep.
Yeah, potentially.
They're like, bam, back to 5, and you're like, yikes.
But is it the same? Is it going to be as useful as giving them +1 to hit or +1 save? I'm being serious for a moment. Like, I honestly. Like, you look at it and you think, yes, and you think about pinks, and you're like, oh my god. But then, like, beyond that, I'm like, it's fine. I think it's just you're going to use it in these clutch situations, and you're going to hope. Yeah. And actually, to me, that's super cinematic. It's like in the movie, and he's like, just like him and his mate left, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the guy that got stabbed with a spear earlier, like, gets back up, and you're like, oh my god, he's back. And then, like, he fights, and then eventually dies. But do you know what I mean? Like, that moment, like, I actually think it's a really cool ability.
It's just been really bad with pinks.
Huh?
It's just going to be really bad with pinks.
Yeah, that's the only negative, which we've touched on. And so now there's loads of positives, I think. So, like, yeah. And also, gets you, like Kill Panic says, you get to shout things like, I'm fine, Sarge. Yeah. It's just a flesh wound, Sarge. We're so good.
Regroup from Conquers Bad Fur Day, if anyone knows that.
Getting a unit of Salamanders back. Wait, use this.
Oh my god, yeah.
1 dice for each slain model. Okay, good. 4 each slain model that unit. Well, see, now that's actually really good in a unit of Salamanders because you don't roll. Joe, in your situation, you don't actually roll dice for that that slain model. You roll it for each slain model. So in your pink horror example, if you wiped out a ton of them, you would get back all the pinks.
Yeah.
Like, or any 6s, you would put back the pinks. Whereas, like, if you wipe out a unit of Salamanders with handlers, you would roll for the handlers and the Salamanders, and then if you ever spike to 6, you just start putting the Salamanders back first, obviously.
Yeah.
So that works. Okay, this is good. Wait, I don't think this necessarily benefits even keeping large units as well. Because if you lost 20 models, you still statistically are getting 3 back. It's not really that game-changing. I don't think this even really benefits Hordes rally. I think it more benefits you, like, you hoping to roll big 6s on some big wound models. I think that's actually more important. Unit of 3 Alapexes, 2 dead. You're like, fucking 2 6s, come on. Come on. 2 sharks in the tank. And then you sort of pop from the sea. Yeah, really into that. Right, Unleash Hell.
But Wardens and Sentinels for sure, like also like them spiking the 6s to stand back up is a big deal too.
Just because they're really elite, right?
They're really elite, and if you've broken your Shining Company, you can reset it up with the setups.
Oh, that's interesting. Clever.
Mm. The dead guy stands back up, and now they're glowing again. They're ready to go.
Yeah. Just waiting for a sub-faction to change value of rally to 5+. So this is a core command ability.
Yep.
So we might see rallies, and I assume we're going to see some rallies in the future. We're going to get like that Necron mechanic or something. Anyway, in 40k, they decided that one of the things that really slowed the game down and probably wasn't that fun was stand and shoot, specifically Overwatch. So they thought, well, fucking stick that in Age of Sigmar. And everyone on the internet has been super okay with this rule. No one's bothered, and everyone's really fine with it. The command ability Unleash Hell. No one bothers about this. It's fine. This is, you can use this command ability after the enemy unit finishes a charge move. The unit that receives the command must be within 9 inches of that enemy unit and more than 3 inches from all other enemy units. Specifically, it doesn't have to be the target of the charge. That's an important point. The unit that receives the command can shoot in that phase, but when it does so, you must subtract 1 from the hit rolls for its attacks, and it can only target that unit that made the charge move. So, you have to be within 9 inches, not wholly within 9 inches. Right? And then they charge you. Well, they charge, but then you can shoot. And when do you do it? You receive a command. The unit receives a command, can shoot in that phase. When do you shoot? Before they've charged?
No, it's after, because they have to have made the charge.
Okay, right? Yeah. But they can make the
charge like after the enemy unit finishes the charge move. Yeah. So it's right after they make the charge move.
Yeah. And you must subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks, and it can only target that unit that made the charge move. But specifically, there's 2 things. So number 1, we have a stand and shoot command ability reaction, which you can do from the unit champion if you have a unit champion, so you don't even need to kind of like keep a hero nearby to bunny hop or anything. So that's really helpful.
Yep.
And then, like it doesn't even have to be the unit that you charged. So you could have a screen. Craignoss can charge it, and I promise you, Craignoss players, he will murder the fuck out of that screen. You're so right. You're so right. He'll do that. You're so right. Like, fucking no one should insult your Craignoss. I promise you, it's so good. Like, such a strong model. Such a really large rock for some reason.
You know, he'll probably kill that screen unless that screen is 20 Wardens in Helon, or 20 Sentinels in Helon, and then he just dies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You have to be more than 3 inches away from the charging unit, so they'll have to be behind a screen. Fires will therefore be premium to take over screens.
More than 3 from other units.
Other units. So you can if you didn't have a screen, you could just charge a unit with guns, and they could be charged, and then they can shoot. Yeah. So in that situation, it's. You can just be I don't know how else. Am I explaining it wrong? You stood there as a block. Someone charges you, and then you can shoot them.
Or your friends.
Huh?
Or your friends that are within 9.
Yeah, or your other friends that are within 9. So yeah. Right. So it's double. So it's like sorry, I shouldn't have talked about the additional thing you could have done first. The first thing is, you've got a unit of Iron Drakes, stood there, dick in the wind, no one's helping them. There's a unit that starts within 9 inches, it charges them, then they just shoot them and gun them down. Yeah? Super happy. Deep Strikers obviously land outside of 9, so actually you're incentivized to be a Deep Striker.
No. After you made the charge. So it's after the enemy makes a charge. So Deep Strikers doesn't matter.
Of course, yeah. Right, yeah, that works. Okay, so it's like 40k. Once they're tagged, they can't do it 100%. And you can only use 1 command ability per... so you can only use the same command ability per phase. So you won't be able to use this on multiple units. So you can't use any of the command abilities more than once per phase. You can't use any command abilities more than once per phase. So there's the rule of 1 on command abilities. And does it stack with parting shot? Yes, but a unit can't receive a command ability more than once per phase. So, like, to be clear to everyone, because I'm sure it's in one of these articles somewhere, and you guys can read it somewhere. I don't know where. I'll find it for you. But a unit can only be affected by a command ability once per phase, and you can only use a command ability once per phase, if that makes sense. So you can only make, for example, Inspiring Presence used once, like, because that's once per phase. Like, Unleash Hell you can only use on one unit, and you couldn't use Unleash Hell and give them +1 save at the same time, because if that helps everyone out. So let's talk about the implications of this, Joe. Shooting unit's already pretty good in Age of Sigmar. What do you think about it?
Stephen Max got it, and like I mentioned it, Stephen Max got it in the chat. The Helon 20-pack of Sentinels is unchargeable. Incredible. Because you can't charge their friends, because they get +1 attack if they're within 3 inches of a unit for the shooting profile. So all of a sudden that 20-pack of Sentinels is a 40-shot unit that does 6s or 5s if they got the spell off to do mortals when you charge them. Well done.
Yeah. Well, so wait, there's loads of things to talk about what it affects. Just to be clear, the monster reactions that you do, like Raw, happen at the start of the combat phase or at the end of the charge phase? Let's just double check, shall we? Let's go find it. Let's go find the monster stonks thing, because that will affect this. I think it happens at the beginning of the combat phase. Does anyone have it?
So Helon stonks
hold on, Joe. Do you
are
know?
already up. And now
end
they're
of
better.
The charge phase. Thanks, boys. Thanks, chat. So it's the end of the charge phase. So uses command ability after an enemy unit finishes a charge move. So that this would happen before the end.
Yep.
So you would do this before you could roar at them, if that helps everyone. Thanks, chat. Why would they give AOS stronger Overwatch after shooting meta we've had, says Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar, sorry. It's like AOS Overwatch. It's better than actual Overwatch, because Overwatch is you hit on 6s from 40k. This is a full shooting unit. There's some really good units that you think of. Iron Drakes are a good example. Helon Archers are a good example. There's some other little units that like Thanquol. With Warp Fire Throwers. You ever thought about have you thought about 6 Storm Fiends yet? With more warp power? Because does anyone want me to read Thanquol's War Scroll to them? By the way,
you could do Vermin Lords with their Prince-Isle tail.
Oh, shut up! Who cares about that? Can we let me read Thanquol to everyone, because it's super worth it. Thanquol on Bone Ripper. If he has Warp Fire projectors, he has 4 of them. Yeah, he has 4 of them. And the Warp Fire projector is do not use the attack profile. Instead, roll X number of dice for each model in the target unit that's within 8 inches of this model, where X is equal to the number of Warp Fire projectors in this model, which is 4. For each 4 plus the target suffers 1 more win. The thing is Thanquol's not good. But this does make him better, right? Like, Thanquol's fine. It's not as bad. He's fine. But this does make him better.
He's like a double caster with +1 to cast, and maybe rolls 3 dice to cast, and you can't get next to him, but oh my god.
Why would this be usable Ironclad that's been charged? Gorka Morka, correct. It would be usable an Ironclad that's been charged. At -1.
So they'll drop bombs and
Yeah, Ironclad's another good example of like a pretty prodigious shooting unit that like you probably don't want to charge.
Your man crushers could throw the rocks? No, they can't, because that's not a shooting profile. That's just
it's command ability. Yeah. I mean, it's really good into monsters if the meta is monster heavy, because obviously a monster charges you and you'd be like, fine, I'm gonna bracket you before you even get in. But it's so good on shooting units that already exist, but you probably are not going to be able to create...
20 pinks is 60 shots.
Yeah. What it's really good at is that unit that wants to tag you. You know, the 5 heart renders that are like, I'm going to charge you I'm going to tag you on the end, and you're fuck shooting unit. Yeah, you're like, oh,
smoked.
Okay. Yeah. Gunned the fuck down. And that's what I mean about... this is a bit difference between this and Rally. I mean, even some other units like Terrorgeist have got like a shout attack. Like a little scream. And there's something for
Yeah,
them
and there's
when they
there's
charge
relics in Flesh and Reports that make you minus bravery, and now they can overwatch their scream with
Yeah.
your minus bravery from their relics and stuff. Yeah.
Hey, do you know what's really
And this is
good on
also
that?
another thing.
Oh, go on.
Another point. This is another reason. Last nail in the coffin. Like Craignoss has not pointed for AOS 3 because he'll never fucking get there. Not once.
Well,
Will he
you'll half get there. Like, do you know what it's good on? Units that do mortal wounds on 6s to hit.
Or 5s to hit. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, that's so good on them. They're like, charge
And that's
me.
why the heal on archers are 40 shots when you charge them.
No, shut up about heal on archers. No one cares. Dracos, it makes Dracos good. That's a good shout, 3D hexes. Thank you. Squid Gobber, it
like
does make the
here.
it makes the Squid Gobber better. Trogos, Swamp Trogos, being sick on you when you come in. No, not the rock. I mean, not the rock ones. Although rock
They
ones as well.
or they throw up on you or whatever. Yeah.
We probably now again a lot of this can be fixed if we see the points go up on a lot of shooting units. Generally,
yeah. T-Man Cash Salamanders. It's a good shout.
Oh yeah, charging. Well, you won't be able to charge 3 salamanders. Charging 2 salamanders, but you charge 2 salamanders, and you'd be like, no, this sucks balls. This is that word. Unless you like sucking balls, in which case it's like this sucks boobs. Like whatever the thing you don't like sucking is. That's fair, man. And some people like sucking everything, so whatever. I feel like shooting units used to come at a premium. Says Blob Fish Slapper. The Arachnid Flinger. Oh my god. Hasn't it got a minimum range? Does this override the minimum range?
No, it doesn't say it does.
It does. Well, it must say it does. The unit receives command can shoot in that phase. It wouldn't override the minimum range.
With Flinger, no. It does not. The Flinger does not have a minimum range, so we're safe.
But the Crawler does.
Yeah, the Crawler does. Yeah.
But
so the Crawler
you have to be wholly
if you get
within...
in at 6. Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
Because 7 inches is catapult range.
Range restrictions will still apply. I think range restrictions will still apply. Okay, so let's talk about this. I mean, there's some great units that we've talked about. Like 6 Stormfiend stonks through the roof, by the way. Especially when we get onto the next one in a minute. It's +1 to hit in here. All out attack, yeah, +1 to hit. So is that one? Yeah. Because that's stupid stonks on so many things. So many things with +1 to hit. Like, game wide is bananas. Like...
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, with Bill Sweden's list for Bug Eater, his list was rerolling 1s to hit against flaming units, or flying units, not flaming units, flying units. So now it's...
Zilfin.
Yep, so now it's all KO with +1 to hit, rerolling 1s to hit. Sure. Nailed it.
It's only one unit you can give +1 to hit to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Stalkers shoot in the hero phase, shooting phase, and charge phase, just as planned. Yeah, those 15 Stalkers from Arathi are going to be not the most stonks. Use a command ability so they shoot in the hero phase, and then give them +1 to hit in the shooting phase, and then if you charge them, they can shoot in the shooting phase. So it's really good. Those guys, they do 6s to hit on mortals as well. So the
Don't
only
let them go
thing,
second.
Huh?
Don't let them go second in a turn, because that's bad. Because then they'll have all 3 command points to do that. Yep.
Right, so let's talk about what Sigmar's just saying in the chat. Thank you. The best way around this, obviously, is to pile in from outside of 6 inches. So, therefore, to never charge. Because, obviously, this only happens in the charge phase. And there are loads of units that we've seen be able to do that. Not loads. There are artifacts, some command traits, some command abilities, some war scrolls that are able to do it. Yeti stonks through the roof. Sister Slaughter through the roof. Obviously, the damn wind chargers. Those damn roos. Zombie stonks. Thank you, Warhammer Rob. They're up there. So there's some really, really, really good units that are going to be able to do and get around that. And then also things like, like Kairos' ability to like smash a unit and like create a spawn. Or Belladama's unit to like take one out and put a couple of like little doggos there for the Gravelord. So there are some good opportunity costs available for those for mitigating this, but also this also gives some really good What are the shooting units that are an issue, Joe, in your opinion? In Age of Sigmar, talk to me about the shooting units. Twitch chat, talk to me about the shooting units you thought were an issue. Tell me what you think of the issue.
All versions of the wind spirits, so Severith and his generic boys.
Okay.
Sentinels, wind chargers, probably. Pretty much the KO book, like almost all of it. Just because like how well it synergized, quote unquote, together, just because they could all shoot you from far enough away. I think at one point the Terrorgeist Screams were bad, but like not overwhelmingly, but the Storm Fiends for sure. And probably Panks and Flamers at that point would be next.
Well,
I'd imagine.
Down. So
yeah.
So far I've written down Skinks, Sentinels, KO, Flamers, Salamanders, long strike Raptors. Although like they were difficult, but they didn't generally tend to.
Long strikes and Hurricanes, you could do both of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
I don't think
Hurricanes now not moving get 9 shots, right? So when you charge the unit of 6, they have what is that? Like 45 shots or something like that off the 6 of them.
I'm just going to write down Flinger and Flinger/Crawler because they're basically the same. Basically the same. I'll write that down. Right, basically the same. Okay, so let's talk about this with the actual stand and shoot, right? And how this affects him. So Sentinels, I think, are obnoxious because they're able to kill your characters, not the unit that's going to go in and like beat the fuck out of them, right? Yeah, you'll get a round of shooting. You could do some maybe you could do like a couple of mortal wounds to them. But I don't think Sentinels are particularly an issue for this command ability. Fair enough. KO at -1 to hit, like they don't hit super well. Like there's a lot of 3s and 4s knocking around there. Like I've seen Tony roll pretty badly at one of the Super Series matches. Like they're not like huge. -1 to hit could probably affect that. Like I don't overly want to charge an Ironclad anyway. That's where you get the most value town out of it. Because it's already going to be really tough to take out. But personally, if I was the Ironclad player, I'm going to give him +1 save, not shoot. Depending on what I'm shot with, right? I guess that's kind of the key point.
Well, because it's also got the bombs too off the Ironclad, so like it can shoot you and then drop bombs again. So like it actually overwatching you is probably what it wants because you probably aren't surviving its guns and bombs at the same time.
Yeah. Cities of Sigmar lists like Daniil's have so much stonks because the -1 is negated by the Hurricane and Aura, as are some Iron Drakes, by the way. So Iron Drake stonks actually gone up. So these are the current issues. So I don't think.
And some of them can already stand and shoot anyway, right? Like some of the Free Guild Guard can already stand and shoot.
Yeah. So I don't think KO is much of an issue. Flamers, they do some really great work. Although I think they've got a target on their head for potentially a points hike, and also I think that there's some other things to be said about them. They're being very, very, very good into hordes. If you shoot them with hordes, but Flamers I still think are like an issue.
Flamers would hit you on 5s though, so like it's not like the end of the world unless it's a horde charging them.
Yeah, but it was 2 wounds on 5. Like if you 6 Flamers, man, like that's 10. Oh, like it's 19 shots, and you like if you're near an exalted, it's +1, so you can kind of ignore the -1. Depends what it's in, right? Because Flamers are swingy. They're terrible into armor. So Craignoss, for instance, would be able to take them out. Like no dramas. Although the more like so, yeah. I think Flamers are an issue if they're being charged by hordes. Other than that, probably not too much of an issue with stand and shoot. Salamanders are really effective because they're brilliant in a fight and they're brilliant in shooting. But I don't really want to charge 3 Salamanders. Although you can only take a unit of 2 Salamanders in the future. So, like, whatever. Like, so it's not as bad, right? Because you can only upgrade the unit once. So Salamanders, I'm going to give that, because you can't make a unit as big. I don't know. Like, I'm not too stressed by Salamanders. Bush. Maybe I'm stressed. 8 shots? I don't know. What do you think? 8 shots out of Salamanders. Like, stand and shoot at -1 to hit. I think I am bothered, actually. I'm switching it up to I'm bothered. Salamanders I'm bothered by. Yeah, bothered. I'm writing down bothered next to them. Raptors, long strike Raptors. Yeah, I mean, if it's a unit of 3, depends what I'm charging them with, but that's going to hurt because 6 is immortals. And then the Flinger, slash the Mortek Crawler, doing the
Did
special
you ever
shot.
look at what the Flinger does?
I have looked at what the Flinger does. Do you know what the Flinger does?
No.
One shot, D3 damage, always strikes last at 48 inches, baby.
That's the same.
240
It's a crawl.
points.
Yeah, it's the same as a crawler. That makes sense.
It's basically the same as a crawler. Tick. So I'm bothered about the Flinger. Charging the Flinger is... I'm livid! I'm livid about the crawler. Not the crawler, the Flinger. The crawler's problematic, I think. Charging at that. And then Skinks. Skinks is the other one. At -1 to hit, you don't get as many shots through. But obviously they've got a command ability. Is it command ability or just an ability? They're able to have...
Ability.
Yeah, an ability. So they're able to have +1 to hit flat. So that means...
And then 6 is to wound mortals, so...
Yeah, but it's like, if you did get the max brick, like 40, it's 80 shots.
Well, they already have parting shot. So really, you would have 1 parting shot and then 1 standing and shooting, so they'd get 2 units to stand and shoot with.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. So you charge 140 block, and then they parting shot, and then the other unit also stands and shoots you.
Yep.
That's worse than I thought, actually.
Yep.
I'm going to put that as I'm going to write that down as a problem. Or you charge the stand and shoot, either the stand and shoot or the parting shot Skinks, and then the Salamanders next to him are like, "Ha ha! Fuck you, buddy!" Oh dear. Seraphon Tekaloy. Seraphon does equal problem, yeah. So those are some of the shooting units.
Would charging the Flinger and then it hitting you with its shot mean that you'd always strike last? So then it would get a chance to fight you first?
What? Oh, the Flinger?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. You stand and shoot with the Flinger, they strike last, and then you get to fight with the Arachnid first. Oh my god, Flinger stonks up. Okay. Oh my god. We only knew in 2016 that the Flinger was pointed for Age of Sigmar 3. None of us would have complained. This is the point about not knowing things in context, lads. Fucking idiots that we are.
Yeah, we're terrible.
We're terrible. Alopex, so the enemy can't pile in. Sheltog, great idea. The Restorius net launcher, hadn't thought about that at all. Yes,
although
Sheltog.
it misses on 3s all the time, I gotta tell you. So hitting on 4s is also
just have a unit though.
Yeah, my unit did too. I can't tell you how many times it missed over the weekend. All the time, both of them, every turn, whole game. Sometimes they're just like, nope. The last one to hit, not good.
You can. Oh wow! So Alopex is really great shout. I also like Sisters of the Watch, because their ability to stand and shoot is not a command ability, so they can unleash hell, and then they can use their core ability, which is a 4-up stand and shoot. So you've got 2 opportunities for stand and shoot on the Sisters of the Watch, which is pretty amazing.
And then the other guard, right? The other guard can just stand and shoot anyway, right? Too, like half the units in cities can stand and shoot, can't they? Being like the humans can.
In some ways, yeah. Yeah. But like, it's whether or not it's a command ability, right? But like,
yeah.
Is it free stand and shoot? Oh wait, it's a free stand and shoot. Thanks, Eric Sorben. So, yeah, that's amazing. So Sisters can use it twice. So Sisters of the Watch stonks up, and you never really see Sisters of the Watch anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah,
like that's fun. So big fan of some of those. Not Skinks problem. I've written that down. Let's reaffirm that.
Salamanders problem.
Salamanders bothered. Flinger stonks
20
up.
pinks.
20 pinks is fine, man. No one cares.
60 shots.
Whatever. Like,
Sigmar
though, there's some big stonks in there. Iron Drakes. Because Iron Drakes would do fine, but Iron Drakes don't win tournaments. Iron Drakes do like 2, 3, 3, 2, and sometimes the occasional like wizard pushes them up to a 4-1. So they're rare. But now they're like, I think, bigger stonks, especially Hurricanum. So that pushes them up. Does anyone think...
Owen Jackson, we've already talked about Thankful, though. So that's like the better version of the gyrocopters. But yes, gyrocopters are also good.
Gyrocopters is a great shout. Do you roll to hit with gyros? Yeah, 4s, though. It's 4s on a gyro, is it? But yeah, it's every model in the enemy unit. That's awesome.
Yeah, but you 3 gyrocopters or Thankful.
Yeah, but that's if you're not playing if you're playing cities, you ain't got thank walls. So 3 gyros is fucking mint. You just stick them in front of like, oh my god! Imagine we had this like 3 years ago. Stick them in front of all of the fucking plague bugs. It'd have been like, no. Although the 9 Storm Fiends, I think, are way better now.
Yep, like, absolutely.
With stand and shoot, because like when they got
locked what
in,
did the warp fire throwers take the place of in Storm Fiends?
What? Imagine shooting them with the rattling guns, man. Like, the rattling guns are pretty short range.
They shoot it twice. Yeah, 12 inches, yeah.
So, super in love with that. I think that's great. Zombie Dragon auto hit.
Oh, it's either the warp projectors or the wind launchers. So, like, the wind launchers is usually what they've been doing their damage with.
Yeah, just use the take the wind launchers. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, you could have the wind launchers for, like, your long-range pack of 6, and then your short-range pack of 6 will be the Flamer boys.
So while we talked about the units, its effects up and down, and then there are probably loads more. You could do a whole show on it, right? I guess the real question that I want to ask the Twitch chat, and Joe, I'll ask you, and then I'll kind of throw my ideas in there. Is, do you think this is really good for the game? Do you think, like, already we were talking about shooting on the long range meta generally being a part of it? Do you think do you think does it make you not feel? I don't know. How does it make you feel?
It just makes what was already oppressive more oppressive, right? Like, the armies that were good and were doing well generally had a range projection, like ability, or were able to project their damage, and now that combat armies again suffered to that projection of power, because now they're projecting it in combat before the combat gets to swing another time. Like one more time before they get there. Yeah, the tables are smaller, so combat will get there faster. But like the shooting, like the list that I ran this weekend, like the shooting's already oppressive. The KO that won, the shooting's already oppressive. Like other Sentinel lists are like those, like all of these shooting lists, the Skinks, the Salamanders, like all that stuff. The Zinch shooting, it's all already oppressive. Now you're giving it another phase to activate in, which is like if you played 40K, we watched Yanari all the time. Like Yanari was so good because they got to shoot in your opponent's turn, and now the whole this game that's already oppressive in shooting gets it again. I don't know. I don't think it's great. I don't think it. I mean, yeah, it's one unit, but you're usually only shooting with a couple of units anyway. So it's kind of terrifying.
Okay, fair point. Takamo makes a good point. Smaller board, smaller space to hide from power projection, which is what we really call ranged threats. So that makes loads of sense. Mark says stand and shoot should be tech that you have in your army from a war scroll, like we're talking about the Sister of the Watch, as opposed to something everyone has access to. Say, but the table size is 44 by 60 inches. Colonel Cabby says, I don't know if it's good or bad, I just think it's unnecessary. I think that seems to make sense. Like, if shooting units already have so much utility, right, in that they can already do the thing from range. So then, your combat unit has to, in some rare cases, walk across the field to get to the enemy. Rare. So they have to, so they have to go get there and go grab the unit, and then when they finally get there, they should be given the opportunity to kind of duff them up. I guess that kind of feels right. But at the end of the day, this is locked to a command point. But I feel people will build their armies differently, knowing that they've got a command ability to do this. I think about units of Iron Drakes, or
the flyover abilities are even better now, where you fly over and do immortal. Like those abilities just skyrocketed in their stonks too. Like Screamers and Boingrats, I guess. Hilarious. They fly over and tag you on the way past. But Severith too, where he flies over you and does the 3 up to D3 mortal wounds or whatever. Like all those abilities are much better now, because you're probably not going to actually be charging people at the end of it.
Well, there are, again, there aren't loads and loads of shooting units, but the ones that are there,
not in the course of the game, but once you get towards top tables, there's a ton of shooting units.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, charging a Bastilla, and I guess it depends what you're charging with versus, if I charge a horde into 10 Sentinels, then I don't care about the standard shoot ability. Again, and then similarly, but if I charge a monster or an elite-ish unit into the Sentinels, I'm bothered about the mortal wounds. Whereas if you reverse it, if I charge my elite monster into the Flamers, then he's probably got a good armor save and he's fine. Because he could be using their finest moment, so he's got +1 save already. So, like, the Flamers will just, like, do nothing, bounce off him, then he'll eat them for dinner. Whereas the Horde that's charging the Flamers is having a real problem. So there's that kind of, like, left kind of, I don't know, there's that, not left, right, there's those kind of, like, different units for different keys for different locks, let's say.
Who's Cadaver's Birth? They said hi, Joe, earlier, and I don't know.
And they subscribed. Thanks, Cadaver's Birth. Only very few armies actually benefit from this command ability, says Marcus Rock. They do, but those ones that do are pretty huge, right? That's worth talking about. Okay, I think that was good. That was a good one. Right, next up, the all-out attack command ability in all-out defense. This is probably a bigger deal than Standard Shoot, in my opinion, Joe. Like, so this is generic +1 to fight, +1 to hit in either your shooting or fight phase, and then all-out defense is +1 save in the shooting or combat phase. Massive. This is gonna change. This is such a big deal. These are the ones that, like, I know everyone's raging about, like, Unleash Hell, but this is the one. Because the units that are already good, because immediately you go, oh, my shit unit's better. And it's like, that's true, but the good unit's also better, which is not fun. like,
this also takes out, like, half the reasons why you'd use Other Courts. So now, like, Other Courts is just a free command point for every unit on top of the command points you can already use. So, like, they could do the +1 save. Like, right, they could do all defense and then Other Courts for +1 attack on the same turn, because Other Courts is not a command ability; it's just an item that they have.
Ability, yeah.
Yeah. So now they're +1 to hit and +1 like save, just for being Lumineth. Like, they were already good; they didn't need the ability to do both their abilities twice. And now you've got is it Sire that does the Other Courts twice in a turn? Like,
yeah.
So one unit can be +1 to hit, +1 save, and then you can command ability the other one.
Yeah.
Like, back in the corner, you know what I mean? And it's just like, so now they're doing three times a turn versus twice, which is unnecessary.
I think the one I like all that defense in the shooting phase. Like, I do like that. Like, and I like the idea of, like, also maybe in the combat phase as well. Like, they charge you and you're like, put the shield walls up, boys. Like, +1 save, that's fun. Although excited about fighting Petrifex again.
You can't though. It's only in the shooting or combat phase. So you, like, if they unleash hell on you, that's in the charge phase. It doesn't work.
No, I don't mean. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, if they shoot at you in their shooting phase.
Yeah.
You can give yourself +1 save, and then, like, if they charge you, and then you're in the combat phase, +1 save. So, like, Mortek Guard again with +1 save, re-rolling those saves are back, ready near the Harvester. So there's already stuff like that. Like, the Stormcast guy who we saw featured, who's got a 2-up armor save, give him +1, so then he's going to ignore Rend of 1 as well and still have a 2-up armor save. That's good. Craignoss, Craignoss is a monster and a hero, so he's already got their finest hour. So if he wanted to, he could go down to having a +2 to his save. It caps out at a flat +1, but it does mean it affects Rend that's going to hit him. So, like, that's really important as well. That one's really, really big because it just makes units that are already good really, really strong. So obviously +1 save on Manfred. So he's now just got a 2-up armor save. And he's just running around with his 2-up armor save like, I'm doing great.
Yep.
The Blood Knights with +1 save. Like, thinking about Ironclad. That Ironclad with +1 save. Sweet.
Nailed it.
Nailed it, boys. Yeah. Like, nailed it. I think that one's really good. Tell me what things you think should have a +1 save, or what you're excited about having a +1 save. The all-out attack, and if you are watching on YouTube, give me some, like, I really like putting +1 save on this guy. The thing about all-out attack, that makes some units crazy good because you can do it in the shooting phase. First thing, my brain just went to Storm Fiends for some reason, because I was just like, that's pretty good. +1 to hit on the Storm Fiends, because they get rerolls to hit and wound from 1 more warp power, right?
Yep.
So
and they didn't have +1 to hit, I don't think, like, at all possible. So now all of a sudden,
you couldn't.
It's
it's the people who couldn't. It's the people who couldn't get +1 to hit. This is really going to make a big difference too. Blocks of Grots, they couldn't get +1 to hit. I don't think they could get +1 to hit, so that was fairly important. Fulminators with a 1+ save, re-rolling ones versus shooting. Good shout, OJ, in the chat.
Actually, you want to know what this is really good on? Nurgle units with Blades of Putrefaction. So Ungor Raiders that are rerolling 1s and 2s to hit in like a 20-pack or 30-pack or whatever. Rerolling, +1 to hit. And then their mortals are on modified rolls of 6.
Hey, what about 20 Blight Kings with +1 save?
No.
Why are you against that? Why are you against that? Why would you
I guess only if it's to like bait the +1 save out, and then you just redirect all your shooting to the guy giving him the 5-up Feel No Pain, and then you just don't care. That's fine.
Owen made a good point. What about 40 Chaos Marauders with Blades of Putrefaction and +1 save and +1? But you can only add +1 to your save now. Like, it caps at 1, so you'll only be doing mortal wounds on.
But +1 to hit, so +1 save, +1 to hit, because
no, you can only cap +1 to hit at the maximum you get is +1.
Yeah.
Although it's
but
global,
they'll
right?
have a million attacks at 5s do mortals.
Yeah.
Although they'll be 2 ranks deep, but they're on 25mm basis, so they'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Taco, good point. You can't give +1 save to the Mortec and reroll saves because it would be 2 command abilities in the same turn. Pretty certain all of the...
Actually, well, you can't use command abilities on Mortec anyway.
Yeah, but I'm pretty certain that's going to get changed in the FAQ. Otherwise, they can't play the new game. So I don't think that would be fair. everyone else stood around doing all sorts of mad shit, and they just said Mortec like, "Oh, come on, let me." I think that the all-out attack is like crazy good. So obviously you could use that on our bow snake ladies for +1 to hit on there. You could just do it on your like monstrous characters that are already pretty good. So your Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon can have +1 to hit if he wants to go in. Not forgetting, obviously, that if they use their in their finest hour, which is the monstrous hero. So right, it's the hero, ability. But obviously you could do it on a monster as well. So what you could really have is you could have +1 save and wound via in their finest hour, and then you can have +1 to hit. So you can have a monster hero go into combat and have +1 to hit, +1 to save, and +1 to wound, all at the same time, which is just puts
Imagine
all
a
of
Terrorgeist.
Yeah, Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, Marathi, not Alariel, Durthu,
Or Craigie.
Stonehorn, man, with +1, because they couldn't get, I don't think they could get +1 to hit, could they?
I think they can on like their horns, like for like one of them. Like one of them can get +1 hit on like the horns or stomps or something like that. But yeah,
still.
but now the rest of it is buffed. Or you can have one buffed one via like the relics and command traits, and then you just finest hour the other one, and they both go in.
Lead Belchers with +1 to hit? Come on, boys. Let's go. We got this, boys. Yeah.
Flingers +1 to hit. Big stonks.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So I think this is going to be the one that and I don't know if it necessarily makes any of the massive threats more threaty, because a lot of what they could already get, like Flamer's already got +1 to hit. You could already get +1 to hit on Skinks. And you could also get that +1 to hit on Salamanders. You could get +1 to hit already on Sentinels and Wardens. Talking about KO, you can get +1 to hit, I don't think. So your Ironclad can have +1.
You got reroll 1s to hit, so they're much better.
Yeah. So like +1 to hit on an Ironclad, and then you charge it, and he's got +1 save, or he stands and shoots. Or wait, actually, it's a combat phase. So actually, if you have an Ironclad and you had 3 CP, you could give him +1 save +1 to shoot in your shooting phase. Then they charge you, and you can do stand and shoot, and then you can give yourself +1 for save in combat. So,
yeah.
Ironclad stonks through the roof. Yeah. Owen, good shout. Bow Hunters. So you could have like a bunch more Bow Hunters, just a brick of 12 Bow Hunters, never moving, just shooting away. Thanks, Horny Beast, for resubscribing.
Being 1 inch of 2 at a time.
Yeah. Wow. Just gotta get it up. Yeah, I think Ogres are better. Kits are better. Trogos with +1 to hit because they couldn't get +1 to hit before. So
everything that couldn't get +1 to hit is now just better. Like that's most armies, to be fair. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like the ability to give an army that can already reroll all hits and wounds or just hit rolls or whatever, giving them +1 to hit is much better than like giving Ungor +1 to hit. Right? Like Ungor are still going to struggle. Dryads are still going to struggle. Where KO and Storm Fiends are still gonna be much better because they're rerolling hit rolls. They're +1 to hit versus Ungor that are just +1 to hit. You know what I'm saying? Like Night Haunt are still gonna be Night Haunt just with +1 to hit and not rerolling, or maybe they reroll but they're Night Haunt still. So I mean, maybe +1 was the key, but probably not.
Yeah. I mean, these two are huge. These are going to come up all the time. And actually, I quite like how reactive they are. But I think you can plan your list into them. Like, for instance, you can just be like, cool, I'm going to have Archeon in Host Arcanum. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to give him +1 save, +1 to wound. I'm going to whomp him into charge. I'm going to give him +1 to hit. And then I'm just going to smash phase. And then they're going to try and hit me back. And I'm going to give him another +1 save. And Oracular Visions is going to stack the whole time. So that's going to work really nicely. That's going to work really nicely for him. Iron Golems. Any Idolaters players out there? Iron Golems on a 4-up rerollable turn into a 3-up rerollable. Get your stonks ready. That works. So, yeah, those are the ones I think you're going to see. They're going to be more important, personally, than Unleash Hell. Then we saw this War Scroll, Killer Boss with Stab Grot. And you can make a unit immune to battle shock, which is pretty nice, all part of the plan. He's got like a 6-up DPR, but other than that, he's whatever. He's fine. 3s and 3s. He's just a little character. So maybe he'll have a nice artifact. You what?
He only has a 6-up till his Grot dies.
Yeah. Well, the first time. So that he's got one 6-up ignore one time. And then the Grot's dead. Gatebreaker stonks. Of course, Gargant's obviously. Gargant stonks pretty huge, but I would expect Gargant's points to go up. Personally, if I was a Gargant player, I wouldn't expect to be able to take 3 Mega Gargants in the future. Probably just 2 is.
Well, they could still go up because they're all like 470, 480, so they could go up to like 500 and they'd be fine.
I think you make it so you can only have 2. I think they'll make it so you can only have 2 because you can in their finest hour do that on a Mega Gargant, like wham him in.
Sure.
Like it's gonna, and you can have 2 3-up. You can have 2 3-up save Gargants. Mega Gargants.
Are you bothered? I'm not.
No,
whatever.
Could. I know you're.
Yeah, but like, are you bothered by that?
Oh no, I'm not bothered by that. No, that's fine.
Yeah, either.
They'll be on 2 objectives. Like, stay there, lads. Oh, I want to come and get you, but I got to stay here. It's like it's like when you go, like when you were a kid, you used to knock on your mate's door. You'd be like, coming out to play. They're like, I want to, but I got to stay here, man. Like, it's boring, I know, but just got to stay here.
Having
anyway,
friends.
Huh?
So having friends must have been nice, huh?
You shouldn't have looked the way you look. That's your fault. Is that? Oh, right. Next up, I'd be pissed if I bought 3 megas. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. And all the bugs I put in the coffee shops around Nottingham are not accurate. Love this model. I love this model too. By the way, I'm gonna play these guys, Joe, but they're my painting project. I'm not doing, like tournament. This is gonna be like a couple of colors and gone. These guys are gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna paint.
It's
them
the one that you'll be painting until December, and then
yeah.
And then maybe...
I'm hoping it's pointed for Age of Sigmar 4. That's what I'm hoping. They pointed it for.
Oh
Age
yeah,
4. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So the change to this is huge. As both Zinch players, me and Joe are very excited about. Chronomantic Cogs has changed. Previously, if you sped up time, you would add +2 to movement and charges, board wide. Now, if you speed up time, you add 1 to charge rolls for units wholly within 18, which is rubbish, and no one cares about it. However, if you slow down time, wizards can attempt to cast 1 extra spell if their commanding player's hero phase while they are within 6 inches of the endless spell. At the start of the hero phase, if there's a friendly wizard within 6, they can try and change it. This is, as I already said, awful. But if you're a Zinch player, it's brilliant. So good. Because obviously you generate fate points for each spell you cast, and now you're just casting spells like they're going out of fashion. What extra spells can you cast on pinks? You can't.
No, you can't.
So it's not going to help because the pinks can't cast any extra spells.
Not for pinks, but like it helps the change caster get its 9 plus battery, like ability more often. it helps the Lord of Change. Like, it helps everything that you're scouting in the hero phase or before the game starts on host Arcanum units. So Fate Weaver steps up, and the Lord of Change steps up 6 inches into your deployment zone and starts casting before the game starts, or like at the start of their hero phase or whatever. So now instead of just Fate Weaver being +1 cast, it's now both. And then the change caster can get more than 1 cast for every 9+ it rolls. So it does 9. So it rolls its first one for 9, second one for 9, third one for 9. If it fails one of those, then it uses the extra one from Cogs and starts its 9+ all over again. And Blue Scribes now has a reason to have an extra spell because he was always only casting his own spell, always, like forever. But now he also gets extra spells, so like, yeah, it's really good. Playing Tzeentch is going to be insane now.
The two armies I think it hugely affects is Tzeentch and of course Lumineth Realm Lords, because they bless their weapons with Sun Metal, and then in addition they can now cast their spell, the spell lore, which they previously had. I do wonder if they're going to FAQ it so that the LRL, like Pink Horrors, because Pink Horrors used to also be able to cast spells in addition to casting their War Scroll spell. So I assume, or I hope, that with the big FAQ update, what we'll see is things like Sentinels and Wardens not be able to cast anything other than Bless Sun Metal weapons.
That'd be pretty big for them, for sure. Or Pinks will just go back to being able to cast other spells. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the worst version. No, Joe, that's the version we don't want. There were 2 options there. There was a road to redemption and there was a road to horror. And Joe went down the murky, dark road to hate. He was like, why don't you just make it so Pink Horrors can cast spells again? No.
I mean, that would be the road to horror, wouldn't it?
Huh? No one wants that. Yeah, it would be. Loads of horrors. How does Seraphon summon? Seraphon give up a spell to summon, and you can only do it once. Am I right at that, or you can do it multiple times, Jeff?
Yeah, it's once for their general slaying or whatever.
Yeah.
And then their banner gives them an extra one, and some other jerk gives them an extra one that might get 1 per turn. I don't know.
Sigmar wants to talk about Retributors. What would you like to talk about with Retributors? It's not getting. To be fair, it's not. It's your fault you didn't all buy Lumineth to be able to use the cogs. So this is really good, right? The thing that's probably maybe a negative about this is it's taken away maybe a core mechanic for a lot of armies. They were Deep Strike 9 and they were like, I cast cogs, I Deep Strike 9, and then I go for it. Like we saw at the weekend, we saw Tim try and play with his Blood Crushers and try and get that like +2 to charge so that he like had that extra charge off. We have Nighthorn dropping up and like, I'm going to get +2 to charge from my Nighthorn. So cogs was a pretty big deal for a lot of different armies. And I think that's a little bit that's a bit tough for them. What do you think?
Yeah, for cogs being just +1 to charge now.
Yeah, and wholly within 18.
I mean, I guess it's not as. It's probably it's worse for your opponent because now you can pick and choose where it affects instead of affecting the whole table. Like that was always the scare, right? You're like, well, like, I don't think I ever really saw. Like I don't know if I ever really saw it with +2, or if I did see it with +2, everyone forgot about it except for the player who was using it because they were like, well, I'm +2, and then you'd go to move and be like, well, I'm still not +2, and then after your turn was over, you're like, oh crap, I was +2 to charge and move, but I failed that charge, or I could have moved farther over here. So in my personal experience, I never saw it used with +2 move to great effect anyway, or it wasn't, or the other player, if they did, the other player would forget about it. So this just makes it more centralized, I guess.
Okay, all right, and Sompworks pointed out that with Seraphon, it's D3 summoning points per Slan or Oracle who gives up a spell. So if you have a bunch of Oracles or Slans, and you can potentially get some more summoning there. Okay. There's some of the other things. JP Stevens pointed out, Teclis casts Twin Stones and Cathala casts Cogs with +3, uses her Silver Wand to cast Mystic Shield, and then Cogs for her War Scroll spell with +7 to cast. So there's going to be some good stuff. Obviously,
it doesn't give you +1 to cast for Cogs, it just gives you an extra cast.
Yeah, like but it's just it's an extra cast. Hey, look at the stonks from the Cities of Sigmar who played at the weekend, a Hallow Heart. So now 3 casts per wizard. They're not going to know what to do with themselves. They're going to have more casts and spells that they have access to in that setup. But it does mean that you can maybe put some nice casters out there, like in other cities' armies, because they're +1 cast. I mean, I was one who was always complaining about the fact you only had 1 cast wizards, and now they're like, well, lol, now you can have loads. And I'm like, okay.
For 80 points, you can cast as many times as you want.
Yeah, we don't know how many points it would be. You would assume there's going to be a points change, but it feels like what they think that they might have done is nerfed the thing. Like, they've clearly reduced how effective charging is going to be. So, and then they've buffed
shooting and magic.
Shooting and magic. Well, they specifically, this is probably, if there was a core mechanic, other than taking away the reroll charge command ability, which they haven't done, probably Cogs was up there as the most important, like, fix that you could throw into your army to try and deal with, try and get your units into charge.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's useful. Pete, with more cast, you can try and dispel more endless spells. That's nice. I really like that. That's really good. So yeah, this is a pretty big change for some armies and some playstyles and some lists, right? Overall, Joe.
Yeah.
So what do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Twitch chat and you, Joe. I know we've gone on for ages now. Where do you, like? How do you feel about everything that you've seen so far? Like generally.
I mean, just like every edition, I feel like we'll get used to it and we'll figure it out. And the rules will only be watertight for so long, and then we'll need FAQs. But like, it'll be interesting to see what does change and doesn't change when they drop this, because like the rules are changing enough where I could almost see like another Grand Alliance Order, Grand Alliance Death book from like AOS 0. Like remember those books?
No.
Just because everything's changing so much, like they're not going to, but like they could, right? Like all the endless spells are changing, all the wizards are changing. Like maybe
I reckon 3 endless spells are changing. Like I reckon it's like that one, maybe Geminids. I don't think Portal will change. I think Portal will stay the same.
Yeah. You think Demon Fire Rips will actually stay the same?
Huh?
You think Demon Fire Rips will stay the same?
See, that's the one thing. I think that like, I don't want to like. Okay, I'll just say it. I think they're too lazy to go through all of the endless spells for the factions as well. I think like they might look at the core ones and they'll be like, we'll move a couple of those around. But I don't think they're going to go. I think it's just not in their remit. I don't think it can be asked. Like, unless it came up in playtest and someone was like, look, this is a real issue if this moves twice. And Demon Rift is right up there with the
But clearly the playtesting didn't work before anyway, so yeah.
They ignore playtesting anyway, so it doesn't really matter, like, if it came up or not. Thanks, T-Man Cash and Nurgle Matthew and everyone else. So I don't think every generic spell will change. I think a load of them will stay the same. I think Portal will stay the same. I think Bridge will stay the same. I think the Laquan the Soul Seeker will stay the same. Who's got some really funny stunts if you can move him every turn, by the way.
Mr. Scoot Scoot.
Yeah, Mr. Scoot Scoot. Move your shooting unit up, shoot, yeah, and then in their hero phase, be like, toot away, right? And then if they charge you, do some more shoot. You can.
And every turn, and every time you're making 2 blues.
You just be like, look, I'm toot shoot in a way. Yeah, rally that unit. Try and rally those pigs back. It's one unit of just awfulness. Of just moving around the board like a 90s drive-by. Oh, it's been so good. I like all of this stuff, and obviously the context, like you can't discuss it without context. Sometimes feels a bit silly because lots of this does apply to units that you're thinking about, and if nothing else, it's a good way of like banging your head against the problem. Like earlier on when we talked about OBR, and someone pointed out the fact that obviously you can't give them +1 save and reroll saves because that would be 2 command abilities that you would use at the same time. So that's always something to be conscious of. And then you brought up the fact that you can charge the skinks, they can stand and shoot, but it's also the other skinks that can shoot, and it's like the double. So that's fucking awful. Right, Joe. So everyone, thanks for listening to that bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Joe, at the weekend, if you guys want some update, you came third at an event with some Helon Lumineth Realm Lords. Do you want to tell us about the army and how it went?
Yeah. So yeah, Bug Eater GT down in Omaha, Nebraska. So I know you were like talking down on the Foxes when they dropped, as they
Who?
were the Wind Spirits, the Foxes.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever, man. They're just gonna do their stuff, but I don't care.
All right. So my view on them was,
Hold on, I
would
just
you?
need to thank 420 Spaghetti Yolonaise 420 for donating £4.20. I love all of that. Yeah, 420 Spaghetti Yolonaise 420. Thank you. As a real person, thanks for the £4.20 donation.
Mac readiness. I never use Sentinels, so I can come on whenever I want to. Then it's on you. Uh, so if I told you that you could take a 16 wound monster with a 5-up save, sometimes a 4-up, 5-up feel no pain, 8 shots hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, ran 2 D3, 4 attacks and combats with the same profile, and 2 D3 attacks, and did a 3+ to do a mortal wound and -1 to hit for 500 points, would you take it? Would you also take it if it could never be charged?
Is it movement 24 and can never be charged? Probably take it.
Yeah.
Probably take it.
So if I just took that and I split it apart, it's the same thing and more mobile. So, like,
so you use
Severith.
Severith, or do you use 2 regular Wind Spirits?
Both.
Oh, so what was the list? Tell me what's in your list.
Yeah, so it's Severith, a Wind Mage, and 2 packs of Wind Chargers in their Huracan Battalion. It's then a Lore Seeker, a Cathalar, a 10-pack of Wardens, 2 Wind Spirits, and a pack of 2 Allied Sharks with nets.
Yeah. Okay.
Filth.
Okay, so tell me how it works. What did it do?
So usually what would happen is that, like, if I had first, because it's pretty high drop, it's like 7 drops. Like, so if I had first, the 3 Wind Spirits would fly up and either single out units if they could, or they would focus down one thing, and then they would either charge the thing to finish it off, or back off, just to score the middle field objectives while the rest of my army kind of sat back. And then my opponent would walk up to them, trying to charge or shoot them. And then instead of charging them, the Wind Spirits would then back up another 12 in their shooting phase, so they could never be charged. And either my opponent would double or they would not. And if they don't, now they're usually close enough to where all my shooting can reach them, or the 3 Wind Spirits can just hang out by themselves and still take care of what they need to, with the Lore Seeker sitting on objectives by himself in a corner, and the rest of it just bubbling on my side of the table. And if they would double, then they were definitely close enough for everything. Whether they killed the Wind Chargers or not, like whether they decided to ignore the Wind Spirits or not, would be up to the opponent. And if they made it all the way across the board, depending on if they killed, like if they got to the Wind Chargers or not, then the Wind Chargers would retaliate. And usually the Sharks were behind the Wind Chargers. So even if they did kill the Wind Chargers, the 3 Wind Spirits are still alive. They come up, they shoot you, plus the 2 Sharks shoot you, and then the 2 Sharks charge. And the 2 Sharks charging after the Wind Spirits have shot you is disgusting, with 8 attacks, 3s, ran 2 on the 2 Sharks total. The Sharks just ate whatever they wanted to, except for round 1, the one that I lost. The Sharks decided to not eat any snakes against Daughters of Cain. Terrible Sharks.
Terrible.
They were tired.
I
They
don't
were
know
sleepy.
sharks eat snakes, though. They're not...
Yeah, I mean, they might eat eels, but I don't think they eat snakes, because I don't know what snakes are in the ocean. So yeah, they weren't used to those kind of snakes, I guess. So yeah, so they missed that. I made it. For round 1, the one that I lost, I made a few mistakes. Then the dice, like I said, the Sharks failing to eat any snakes was really the problem. And then but I was still up on, even though making the mistakes and the Sharks not eating snakes, I was up on points until turn 3 or 4, where we tied. And then round 5, he won priority and had more points than me. So so that one was really, was a really close game. And it was really one of the only close games at the whole event. Second round was Night Haunt on shifting objectives. Lore Seeker sat on one side. He fought over the other 2. And my whole army just converged on his whole army in the middle, except for 1 pack of Wind Chargers taking on the other side. he was a really good sport though. So the guy I played round 2 with Night Hunt, first round he played Bill Sweden, who won with KO, and then his round 2 was me. So he played first place and third place round 1 and 2 back to back, but he was a super good sport about it. So props to him for sure. Round 3 was 3 places of power against a walking ogre list with 3 heroes total, which is rough when the lore seeker just auto caps one before the game starts, and then you can't charge me because your heroes have set on objectives, and I can just shoot the ever living Christ out of you with with everything. Everything walks up to you, shoots you forever, and then the sharks charge you and finish off whatever's left. And I gotta tell you, Severith being able to ping pong back and forth for as many command points as I have for 3 up D3 mortal wounds. Well, yeah, he heals once in the hero phase.
In Helon, it's because the commander ability in Helon is able to do it, right?
Correct.
So just for you guys unaware, so he moves 24 inches, and then he then after the shooting phase, in every shooting phase, yours and theirs, can move an additional 12 inches, and every time he moves over a unit, he does D3 mortal wounds like an end of spell. So that would be your turn and Joe's turn, and then there's command ability in Helon at the end of combat. You can make an additional movement with that as well, so that's an additional D3 mortal wound. So can you do 3 or 4 D3 mortal wounds basically over the course of a single turn?
On my first turn, I can do 5.
5 D3 mortal wounds just from Severith.
Yep, correct.
So 5 D3 mortal wounds before you charge or do any shooting.
Well, so it's move once so it's move in the movement phase for a D3. The shooting phase move for a D3, which is after the shooting phase, and then he can pile in 6 inches and fight at 3, and then because he's in the battalion, he always counts as charging, so he can spend that command ability on himself, and that command ability lets them move once for every command point you have. And you have 2 command points, so 1 for the battalion, 1 for the turn. And then as long as one of his moves ends him within 12 inches of the shrine, the Cathlor throws another free command point on him to move. So it's in the course of 1 turn, he does 5d3 mortal wounds. Plus his 4 shots at Ren 3d3, hitting on 2s, and then his 2 attacks in combat doing Ren 2d3.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Real Polygeek says, I wrote mostly Frigo Guard. You could kill 40 of them. I still don't care enough to tell their orphans. Wow. Wow, Real Polygeek. Wow. Okay. What would you say are the standout units really from the army, Joe?
Lore Seeker is incredible for 160 points. All of the Wind Spirits are incredible, and the Sharks. The whole army has no fat on it whatsoever. It's one of the leanest armies I think I've ever built. But the Helon ability to get extra shots while you're in combat, you would think doesn't come up too much until the Wind Chargers are piling in your turn, just at 3 inches, and then it's my turn, and all of a sudden they're at 16 shots for just 5 dudes at Ren 1, 3 up 3 at Ren 1. The whole list is filthy. And it all works together. No one part really supersedes the others, because even the 10 wardens that are sitting in the back guarding the Cathlor the whole time, the amount of times that they would be casting 5 up Funeral Pain on themselves in the Cathlor, and then the opponent gets to me, and they're like, all right, cool, empower weapons this turn, and they charge. Happened almost every game, and yeah, a lot of the games were over by turn 2, turn 3, because they were either tabled or almost tabled.
What would you change anything about the list? And also, don't forget the battalions going away. How would you change the list knowing that?
So the other list idea that I have for this, that once the battalions go away, is Severith, 2 packs of 10 wardens, 1 pack of 10 sentinels, and then 5 wind spirits.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, why?
Because that army can't get charged ever, and then so I just take out half the meta, and then I shoot the other half, and
yes. All right.
So and again at that point it's what, I don't even want to do the math. 10. It's almost 60. It's 50 wounds with a 5-up Feel No Pain that moved 24 in my turn, and then 12 in every shooting phase.
You're not worried about capping objectives?
It kills so fast that no.
Wow. Okay.
Because
So
like
you
able to
foxes
kill.
are real?
Yeah, absolutely. The so my one mistake on the first game that then snowballed into bad dice rolls and everything else was I went directly for the little heroes in the back that were getting lookout, sir. Or had I just shot he had 2 5-packs of shooty snakes and 1 20-pack of combat snakes. So had I just shot the shooty snakes, I would have never lost anything. I at least would have never lost any of the wind spirits, and then been able to But by then turn 2, I could have just cleared the rest of his combat snakes. So you kill infantry fast enough, like elite infantry fast enough, or if they only have big infantry squads, you can clear the heroes that buff them fast enough that it's almost irrelevant. And then they can never be charged is the other key.
So talk to me about that, because that's something that obviously came up when we had Matt Goldsborough play here at the Super Series. We saw we saw Speckles rage. We saw the Fox unable to be charged. Answer me how your opponents honestly reacted and felt to it, and how you felt about it. Like, I know it's a competitive environment and everyone's aware of it, but were they shocked or like talk me through some of the responses? So,
the ogre player on 3 was like, wow, this is like the worst matchup that I could have on like on 3 places of power. Obviously, because I have 4 heroes, he only has 3, and my power projection is a lot farther range than his, and it's more concentrated. So he was like he was pretty bummed just because the matchup like on that mission was really bad for him. And then my round 5 was against a Giants player. Was against the Sons of Behemoth army that went. I think he placed 5th to 8th. One of those. He had also played Bill the round before, so I got all Bill Sweden's leftovers the whole event. It was weird.
Nice.
But no, so I played Giants round 5, and about halfway through turn 2 or turn 3, he did get upset because like his whole army is Giants, right? His whole job is to charge things, and the only things next to him are moving 12 inches away every shooting phase. So he can't charge me. He can't interact. So the armies that couldn't interact with me were more frustrated than the armies that could. And understandably so, right? Like me and the Giants player had a whole talk during the game. Like he got frustrated, but then like he cooled off and we talked about it, and I totally agree with him. I'm like, because like the army isn't interactable for the most part unless you have shooting, and then it's just like who can outshoot who.
So as a like, because Gargants do have a little bit of shooting, right? They can throw some rocks, but and I don't want to make this all about MPE and other stuff, but I just do wonder, like, it's interesting, like, you having played a whole tournament with them, what people's kind of emotional responses would have been, because I would have been like, like, if you just can't do anything, like, it's weird. It's been a long time, I would say, Sigmar. There's some examples where it's happened, so let's just put that out there, but where you just can't do anything. Like, how do you honestly feel? Do you feel that they should be able to move that 12 inches in the shooting phase?
No.
Or you don't think so?
Yeah, like the Giant player, I think he was like when he was talking about it, he's like it'd be better if it was like one shooting phase out of the turn, or like out of the turn. So I either could do it in yours or in mine, like one
like
of
a
them,
once per game ability,
or like a once per battle round ability. Yeah. So like if there was a limit to how far and when they could move, that would be fine. Or if it was only in my turn, that would probably be better too. They definitely would be a lot more fragile for sure. And those 8 wounds would go away pretty quick, but it would make it a better experience for your opponent. But that just isn't the case now. And like with battalions going away, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because a lot of the jank was me counting as charging always.
Yeah.
In that Huracan battalion. So like my round 4, like during the middle of the game, he was like, well, I got to look up to see if I can leave the objectives and still score them. For using most of the objectives, you can walk away after you control them. You can still control them.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to see if I can do that. I'm like, yep, like you definitely absolutely can. So he left all of his objectives to go kill 2 of my units that were holding my objectives. And while he did that, my wind spirits and wind chargers just moved or piled into the objectives that he left. So he lost control of those because I took them on his turn.
Yeah,
that he
that was the bit that like I don't think I'd really like put into my brain. Like, yeah, you can't charge them, but actually, no. More importantly, they can put models on your objectives to stop you scoring where previously you thought you were going to score. That's the bit that's actually like probably most impactful that you have to kind of see on the tabletop to really recognize. I think that's
especially when like when I played against the Giants, we were playing on Scorched Earth, probably one of the worst matchups for him too.
Yeah.
So he had three megas and one pack of 3, and on his turn he had walked off of one like the far end objective, and Severith on his turn moved 12 away from the charges, piled in 6, and spent a command point to go 24 inches onto the objective that he left.
Amazing.
So he like walked away off the objective, and then I went over 40 inches and capped his objective that he walked off in one turn, right? Like, so like once he can no longer always count as charging, he can't do that in your turn anymore. So that'll be also different. But I mean, if he fights anything, he gets the ability to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Where like they'll be moving to be within range of just one thing that can fight them but not kill them, to like bait you into a charge, and then they'll fly 24 inches off. It's probably what the plan will be. Like, so yeah, I mean, realistically,
it's part of the rule sets, right? So it's something everyone's going to have to experience, and everyone's going to have to be aware of it, and everyone's going to have to just like be something that you kind of understand. But even some level of limited shooting is something you kind of want to say to yourself: can I put anything in my list that can maybe try and shoot some of these wind spirits? I mean, these wind spirits, everything other than Severith aren't heroes, are they?
Yeah, no, they're just units.
Severith's now got a heal D3 of potential every round as well.
For the
from the heroic actions, so you can try and heal D3. So there's something to be said about his survivability going up as well as being able to use some of those core mechanics as well, because he can obviously like +1 stave, stand and shoot. Like there's a bunch of stuff, +1 to hit. There's some really interesting things. But yeah, like I think thanks Joe for like playing it out there in the world. Because I think actually, like it almost needs to be played, I think, and listen to those experiences of you as the player and also as the people you've played against. Did you find it fun, though? It must have felt like you had so much power, that level of movement and control.
Oh, it's insane. Like, that's one of the reasons, I mean, besides the fact that they're both powerful, like, that's one of the reasons why Chain Host was so, like, exciting, and people were like, how do you play the same army for 2 years in straight? I'm like, because, like, playing Chain Host, you're never really doing the same thing every time. Like, yeah, maybe your first couple, like, moves are the same, but really, it's the fact that you're so mobile throughout the entire game that I'm never in one place more than I need to be, and I can be wherever I wasn't in order to like push power in the right places. And now this is the same thing but faster, and also the reason why I switched to this is because I don't think Tzeentch can beat it, like, at all.
Do you think it would be able to take out something like 45 Blight Kings, like Prop Joe saying in the chat?
My first practice game was against a 30 Blight King list that also had 10 of the combat seekers from Slaanesh as an ally, and I think I tabled him. Or like we played until I almost tabled him.
So where's all the power come from?
The concentrated firepower. So like the 3 wind spirits can put their damage into one target until it dies, into multiple targets, or I actually charge with them more often than you'd think to get their extra shot. So they're actually 6 shots a turn at Ren 2 D3 damage. The 3+ to be mortal wounds be -1 to hit. Then they back up, and then after they charge you, they back up to 2.9 inches to fight you. So you can never hit them in combat unless you have a 2 to 3 inch reach, because they're so far away, still fighting you. And then then on your turn you go to pile in, and they still back up another 3 inches. And then if you're in combat with them on my turn, they get an extra shot.
Right. It's enough.
So
it's enough.
Yeah,
Stop.
It's really bad.
Stop. They're already dead. All right. Well, amazing. So that was Bug Eater GT. Joe, thanks for coming on the show.
Yep. And then I'll have another event for you next week. I'm going to ACO this weekend. in
Oh
Atlantic City.
yeah. You're gonna get beat by Jacob Berry and Joe Pagano.
Maybe physically, yeah.
But not on the tabletop. Wow. Okay. Just call them out there. So that's ACO this weekend as well. Thanks to K-Vold for resubscribing. Big love to you. Yeah, it's been a long show. We've done an hour and a bit more than we normally do. So just loads to unpack. Joe, thanks for coming on or waking up very early this morning to come on the show for me today. It's been very much appreciated. And also, thanks for giving us your experiences of the Wind Spirits. I think that was actually really fun.
Jonely fans.
The hashtag Jonely fans.
Oh, and that's what it'll be called.
So it's been very much appreciated having you on. You've been really fun. Thanks everyone for tuning in and listening live. You're all brilliant. Big love to the Honest Wargamer audience. You guys, I like that you guys can just talk through the stuff, even though the sky is falling and everything is doomed, but also everything's
and
brilliant
everything
as
is
well.
Foxes.
Everything is fucked, but everything is also fucking brilliant. Somehow, both at the same time. Who knew? That's how it works. You guys are great. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the podcast. You guys are also great. The silent masses. And also to the YouTube thugs. And we could, Brill Doomed. That's where we're at. And we couldn't do it without everyone on Patreon. So thanks for being on the Honest Wargamer Patreon, because that's the only thing that helps me live and feed myself. So love. Joe, have you got any shout outs you want to do today?
I think I have my first. I think I also did a review of the event. It should be going up on Goonhammer in like a few days. It also went up on my Patreon. And then otherwise, I think I'd be watching the Goonhammer reviews for 3rd edition coming out, because there's a lot of work going into that. I'm really excited to see
you're not just writing "we're all fucked at the top." That's the easiest way to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the YouTube clickbait titles, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's the way it works. Yeah. Hello to thanks to the context gang in the chat. You guys are great. We're gonna go raid someone. Because we haven't done that in a while, so that'll be fun. And it just seems like there's someone lovely doing some painting, so let's make them happy. Specifically because they're doing a Chaos Lord and Karkadrak, which looks fucking baller. So let's do that. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are brilliant. Join me again tomorrow. Let's have a nice day.